Hi, I'm Mickelle Weber, founder and auteur of House of Peregrine. Expat, immigrant, pioneer, none of these were a fit, but Peregrine describes what we are all about perfectly. Those that craft their life story with intention. I've spent the last 6 years in awe of the life-changing connections and stories I have experienced while living abroad, and believe it is time for this adventure to be recognized, celebrated, and elevated to the life stage that it is. Through these interviews, I hope to connect those living internationally more deeply to both the place they are living and with themselves and those around them. We cover everything from international finances and meaning-making to global parenting and relationships to make your time abroad more intentional, edifying, and full of beauty. Find us at houseofperegrine.com, where you can find more ways to connect with the ethos of Peregrine. I hope you enjoy today's guest. Let's get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the House of Peregrine podcast. Today, I am joined by Garrett Vanderwielen, also known to many as Tall Red Beard on TikTok. Garrett is a second-generation American with deep Dutch roots, a filmmaker turned content creator, and a curious historian who makes his audience laugh and at times angry, as he would be the first to admit sometimes his facts are loosely interpreted. Garrett's fascination with the Netherlands began early, thanks in part to the stories of his Dutch grandparents, who immigrated to the U.S. after World War II. But it wasn't until a sabbatical with his then fiancée that the idea of living here took root. When that relationship ended, Garrett found himself suddenly without a visa, without a home, and bouncing from place to place for 6 months until, in true modern fashion, he found an apartment through a random Instagram post. The same day he signed the lease, he lost his job, which then left him in visa limbo again. Garrett is a creator at heart. After graduating from film school in Los Angeles and landing his first job editing for Sesame Street, he brought his skills in storytelling, e-commerce, and experimentation into the thriving online presence. His TikTok persona is, in his words, him at 110%, a humorous, high-energy channel that now reaches over 15,000 followers. In this episode, we talk about identity in motion, the humor and heartbreak of building a life abroad, the stories we inherit, and the ones we rewrite. We also talk about how Garrett's views of family and home has transformed after more than 3 years living in the Netherlands. Thank you so much for joining me today, Garrett. I'm so excited to have you on.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Yeah.
I want to get kind of right into it. You and I spoke earlier, and I was I want to talk about your TikTok channel because that's how I came about you. And it makes me laugh all the time. But I want to start actually at the beginning. Tell us about, because I'm really fascinated with this idea of reverse immigration right now. And so I really want to hear growing up as a second generation American and then how that kind of flowed, because it wasn't that intentional from what I understand.
No, not in the slightest. Yeah. So growing up, my parents and grandparents, they like made it a point to like tell me I'm Dutch, and they would show me Dutch things like breakfast that make hagelslag, and they're like, we had wooden shoes during Christmas instead of stockings, and we were very proud to be Dutch, even though I was growing up in America. To the point where, the first time I came to the Netherlands was when I was 8.
And I grew up in the US, and I had no idea where my ancestors were. Like, my grandparents would say, we're American. They wouldn't say we're English or whatever. And so actually it brings a different kind of awareness of identity. Did you notice that was different from your other kids growing up?
Yes, definitely. Because I do feel American, especially now living here. I tell people I am Dutch by blood, but culturally American, because it's just too different. And what I found that there is sort of a different a generational cultural thing. So it's like some of the things that I know to be Dutch are actually just really old because they're coming from 2 generations ago. Even like certain Dutch phrases that my grandparents would say, some people will look at me and be like, are you like 80? What are you talking about?
Yeah, because you got all of that influence from your grandparents, which is 2 generations. Oh, that
Right.
makes so much sense. So you're like an old soul Dutch person and a young,
Right,
and your
right.
correct age in your own culture. It's
Yeah.
so interesting to me how those stories affect the way you grow up. And so when you're hearing these stories, and I think you shared with me, they would sometimes say this phrase, if you're not Dutch, you're not much, or something. Did I
Yes,
say that correctly?
that's very common. Yeah, and it's one of those things where it's like it's this like sense of pride. My Opa's brother, he was like a carpenter, and he just had so much pride in like the designs and stuff that he would make, and like it wasn't just that like he designed it; it was like a Dutchman designed it because Dutchmen are good at engineering, and it was like so it's like it's pride in his work, but then like also pride in the heritage in which the knowledge came from.
Yeah. And I can identify with that becoming a little bit stronger when you move, like as a parent. Like I have
Mhm.
kids and they're American.
Yeah,
Like I'm American, my husband's American. And so I identify with that so much where you just
yeah,
become more of something, or I don't know. It is wild.
yeah.
So you had that all growing up, your grandparents saying these things to you. And it's almost you're living in two worlds. We know this about immigrant families, that they're living in more than one world, which is again why House of Peregrine exists, because you probably now even more understand your grandparents.
Oh yeah, yeah. I would say I I don't want to sound. How do I say this without making my grandparents sound terrible? Because they're not terrible. Growing up, I kind of thought that my grandparents, specifically my Oma, was like kind of mean.
Yeah, because
Like
she's just Dutch.
she's just Dutch. She's just Dutch. Like I came home from college with my freshman 50, and the first thing she said to me was like, "Oh, you got fat." I'm like, "Okay, thanks,
Grandma,
Oma."
we don't say this out loud, Grandma.
But if I did not say that, then I would be lying. And it's like, well, that's kind of, but not really.
That is so true, though. I mean, that's the first thing that people tell you when you move here is that they're rude, but it's just a different kind of honesty, right?
Right? Yeah. It's honesty. In that, well, it popped up in my head, and I have to say it.
Yeah, it's true. Well, and it's only if have you experienced this from your grandparents? Would they have said that to a stranger, or is this more of a intimacy? Like if you're close to someone, you tell them what's popping into your head.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I think it has to do with like, God, I would hope they're not saying that to strangers, but I don't know.
Well, I've learned to, well, I think my Dutch neighbors have learned to go easy on me, and I've learned to appreciate this about them.
Right? Yeah,
I think we've
you can kind of
come to
see
the middle.
yeah the silver lining of it.
Yeah. But, I always love that even honesty is cultural. So that
Right?
it makes me so, I really get into it. So
Yeah.
you grew up California, Dutch grandparents,
Yes.
you go on to film school and
Mhm.
you're studying film. What what was your process? Like being a creative in the anywhere is a process when you graduate, but what was your story?
I think how I look at it, because I grew up in Los Angeles, it was mostly just like that was the work, that was the industry there.
Mm.
So it's like if I had grown up in Idaho, I would have been a potato farmer.
Hmm.
But because I grew up in Los Angeles, it was like that's the work that was there. So it
Hmm.
was like PA work, or my first job was like basically it was this like it was some subsidiary of a studio, and they would just get like script submissions all the time, and it was like my job to just read them and like put them in the good and the bad pile, and then like give them like a synopsis. So it was like the executives could like just go through the good pile and read like the top line of each script. So they like yeah. So it was like I was the first filter. It was an unpaid gig, but it was great.
You got to read a lot of screenplays then.
Yeah, I did, and that was very fun. I was so proud when like one of the scripts that I said yes to, I like saw created like 5 years later, and I was like, oh my gosh, I put that in the yes pile. It turned out to be a terrible movie, but that's fine.
I understand. And that I spent my early career also in the film industry, but in Salt Lake City. So I worked a lot on everything coming from LA that was filming in Utah, which is a lot actually for the bigger movies.
Yeah,
But yeah, I identify with that. I was yeah, super interesting industry. But you do
yeah.
learn a lot. And so when you graduated, I grew up watching Sesame Street. Maybe our listeners don't know what Sesame Street is. We'll put a little link in the thing, but it's a
Oh yeah.
beloved children's show on public television in the US.
Yeah. Yeah, it's yeah, I love Sesame Street. I mean, like even still, I got hit with a clip from it was like Andrew Garfield talking to Elmo about grief, and I was just like, oh my god, I'm crying. It's
This is
beautiful.
so deep. Yeah.
Yeah, so my right out of college, I started working for an animation company called Extra Credit Studios, and they had like a very successful YouTube channel, but it wasn't like enough to pay the bills, so our producer would like get us gigs on other things. And so she got me a like it was just supposed to be like a one-time job. It was a DIT for like an on-site live action shoot for Sesame Street. And what DIT is, if you don't know, is just, or if the listeners at home
Yeah.
don't know,
Explain it. Yeah.
is there's one guy on set with a computer and the hard drives, and as the camera's memory card fills up, he hands the DIT the memory card, and I just put them on the hard drives, and then I duplicate them, and then so at the end of the day, I'll give one hard drive to the director, and then one hard drive I deliver to the editor. And so yeah, that was a very fun day. It was just we were shooting because Sesame Street is in studio with puppets, but then it's also like live action sketches of like kids playing and stuff. So that's what we were shooting that day. And then yeah, at the end of the day, I was like I said, I gave one hard drive to the director, and then I was assigned to go the hard drive to the editor. And then when I got to the editor's house, he like wasn't picking up. He like wasn't answering the door or answering his phone. And so I called the producer and I was like, hey, the editor isn't answering. And they're like, oh my god, what are we gonna do? And I was like, I'm an editor, I'm a I yeah, I edit videos. And they're like, okay, can you meet the director at his place and like get into the edit? And I was like, okay, yeah, sure. So yeah, it was great.
That's amazing. Can I tell you a story about that? I have.
Yeah.
I was working on a movie that maybe I shouldn't name, but it was a very big movie, and they kept losing footage, so I had to edit it at my house for a few weeks before they replaced the entire digital team.
Oh my gosh.
So I have this footage that I'm editing because we were in production, and so it was it's the movie magic is made by by instances like this, which is actually what makes it so addicting,
Yeah.
but not always a sustainable living.
Right. Yeah, because while I was working for at that time the parent company NBC Universal and like HBO had the rights. These are like the biggest studio
Yep.
names. Sesame Street, which is like a show that is prolific. It's been on for over 40 years. And meanwhile, their editor is sleeping on a couch in West Hollywood because I'm getting paid $100 a day. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what the industry run that, and that's hard to understand, and it's actually still today. This is how it works, and I don't think a lot of people understand that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've heard from my friends back in LA that it has gotten worse. Yeah, the wages have stayed stagnant, and then also a lot of stuff is being outsourced out of the city. So it's like it's not even the creative hub that it once was.
Yeah, well, and this was. Tell us what year this was. This was maybe before YouTube was so what it is today, I guess.
Yeah, I think it was around 2015. So it was like YouTube had just been acquired by Google like a couple of years before, I think. And so it was just starting to bring in some like pretty good ad revenue. Like I said, the studio that I worked for, Extra Credit Studios, like they were able to keep the doors open because of YouTube ad revenue. So it was like, and this was like a big deal. So it was like, it was kind of at the start of it before like, it was like pre Mr. Beast YouTube era.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think we've seen a turn in maybe the professionalism or people doing it for a living. And so those were kind of the Wild West days. Now it's almost a given if you're a filmmaker that you have some sort of platform on your own. That's almost your show reel now.
Yes, exactly. It's like I saw this trend happening where it was like you had at the time a lot of streaming platforms would like just give people with a lot of followers like shows. They'd be like, "Oh, you have like 2 million followers. Great, we want them to come to our streaming platform," and they just like throw a bunch of money at creators. And it was like this trend that was awesome for creators, but those skills don't translate. It's like someone who's vlogging and has 14 million followers on YouTube. First of all, people don't like to leave their platforms, and second of all, like that doesn't mean they're a good actor or actress. It's just
Yeah. Well, and I think it's really what I think most people love about making films and making content is it's a team sport. But
yeah,
with these platforms, it can become you become almost your own production studio. You have to. And so
right.
that's what this change in industry, at least from my point of view, has done. I I spent a lot of time as a producer as well as I, I had the camera skills and I have the producing skills, and so that has served me well. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's super interesting. So you're kind of in this moment in LA. When Tell us how this comes about, because it's not like you had your sights set on a move to the Netherlands, or did you?
No. There was like throughout my childhood, there was like it would pop up. It would like bubble up. I'd be like, oh, it'd be fun to live in the Netherlands. Like, oh, like I would ride my bike around LA and I only got hit twice.
Oh my gosh.
So
It is a
um
totally different game. It's like taking your life into your hands, riding a bike
oh,
around the
it's
yeah.
it's really bad, yeah. And so like when those things would happen, I'd be like, ah, man, it'd be so nice to live in a place with like bicycle infrastructure. But it was, yeah, it was just like there was no viable like option to do it. So it was just like a passing thought. Or, like when Trump got elected, I'd be like, man, I'd love to get out of this country. But it was like I didn't have any sort of way to do it. So
Yeah.
it was just okay, yeah.
Did you ever talk to your grandparents about it?
Yeah, yeah. I remember we would come to visit the Netherlands, and I'd say, "Oh, I want to live here," and they're like, "It's very cold. It rains a lot. I don't know if you want that." So it's like they weren't like, "Yeah, do it." They were like, I mean, I think they were very proud of the life that they were able to build for the family.
Yeah, that makes sense. So they're like, "Why would you go back? We've
Right?
made a
Yeah.
very nice life right here." Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. But the country that they were building in is also changing rapidly. I think we're similar-ish ages where the
Mm,
country, like industries, countries, everything have. There's a moment in time where all of us are experiencing a lot of change,
yeah.
that maybe our parents and grandparents didn't.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, like, I'm sure there is somebody uh, way more skilled that can talk on this than me. But for me, it just felt like there was just certain things, certain like goals, certain like I guess just life markers that were just always out of reach for our generation. Yeah, I mean, my dad bought his first car in cash from like a part-time job and like bought a house with a down payment from like his money that he got from the wedding and like a mild saving. So it was like those like things were just always a little further. Like I had come to terms with the fact that like, okay, I'm just never going to own a home. That's not going to happen for me because it was just like every year, even like the dumpiest places in like Silver Lake would be like 1.5 million, and it's like this is a shed in like the backyard of a house. How
Yep.
can you justify this? But
Yep.
yeah, so I was just like, okay, well that's never going to happen for me.
Yeah. And when was that, just like right after university, or when did you start realizing this?
Yeah, I mean, it was basically right after university. Like I said, I was like sleeping on a couch for a little while, and I was like trying to save as much money as I could, and it was just yeah, it was impossible to
Yeah.
to really get ahead.
Yeah, interesting. So when you and your then fiance, tell us that story about deciding to try life abroad.
Sure, yeah. It happened really fast. We had just kind of like finished the first year of the pandemic. So it was like we were locked away. Um and yeah, so the the company that she worked for was an advertising agency, and they're like, "Hey, we're opening not they weren't opening up the satellite office, but they were like, we need to get more control over the satellite office in Amsterdam. So we want to like install someone from the main office. Does anyone like have a volunteer, or does anyone want to volunteer? And yeah, we talked about it. The decision was made fast. Like she was like, hey, this opportunity came up, I want to do it. And like I said, I was just coming off the pandemic. I had, as far as like my career goes, I had just been let go from an advertising agency, which was like advertising for me was just a means to an end. I never really even liked it. It was just a way to keep the lights on. And I had been at like during the pandemic trying to pitch some animations, and I was just getting can I say ass on this podcast?
Yeah. It's a technical term, actually.
Sure, yeah. And I was just getting my ass kicked like pretty consistently in these pitch meetings. It was brutal. And so I didn't like I guess lack of a better term, just didn't have a lot like going for me. So it was like this great opportunity to be like, you know what, yeah, fuck it. Let's drop everything and leave. Like that sounds great for me. And like I said, it was fast. So we decided like, yeah, we would like to do that within like a week of the offer. And they're like, okay, cool. We're going to send you out next month or at the end of the month. And it was like, oh, okay, great. Okay. So they were like, we'll provide the movers. We'll set you up for the first month in a hotel and give you like a real estate agent, and we'll figure it out. So it was like, oh, okay, this is all happening very fast.
So
It
you
was
guys
kind of this.
you didn't really have
Sorry.
time to consider what this might mean.
No, we had no idea. Yeah, in like our head in the conversation, we're like, okay, yeah, we'll live in the Netherlands for a year. That sounds like the plan. And yeah, I mean, we lived in the Netherlands for a year. There was
Yeah.
and then another one, and
And
then
then
another
another
one.
one. It's happened to the best of us. I came for a year and
Yeah,
it's now been 9. So,
right. Yes.
but I think in a move like this, and we actually did it similarly, when you don't have much time to consider your whys, once you land here, it's not the end of your journey. You're not just living here suddenly. You don't just pick up your life there and move it here. That's not, you're changing. Your partner at the time, she had connections that she had at her
Mhm.
office and she was doing her life. And you had, like you said, this was a fresh start for you in a way.
Yeah, 100%. I knew nobody here. It was it was very lonely. Yeah, it was difficult because yeah, like I said, I didn't have a lot of time to consider, and also all of our stuff that was being moved by a storage container had gotten caught in the Panama Canal around that time, so it was just like we didn't have any stuff for like 6 months,
Oh,
and so it was just like we were living in an empty Dutch apartment with like IKEA furniture that we found, and we made it work.
that has zero effects on relationships, by the way. If you do this, this has zero effect on anything that's going on in your relationship suddenly becomes massive.
Yeah. And so what I've come to realize about my relationship is I think during the pandemic it was just her and I, and for a lot of couples, from what I understand, that was like kind of a make or break moment for them. It was like, oh, we're spending a lot of time together. And for us it was really good. Like we got along really well, but now that things started opening up, we were in a new place. What I've come to understand about that situation is like there were no outside influences. So it was like the which also are hard on not hard, but just like affect a relationship. So it was
Yeah.
like the world opened up, and then we went to a completely different world, and then where I knew nobody, and she was the source of my entire social circle through her job, which was difficult.
And I think a lot of people can actually relate to this. I think this is like a story I hear a lot, which is if you've come on your partner's visa for their work, um, it's actually it's an actual skill that can be taught of actually making a new life where you have no contacts. Like
Right.
the people that do this well and over again, they know there's a process. But if you don't know that you're stepping into the rate of couples that don't make it through this experience is so incredibly high.
Yeah.
Because there's dependencies. I mean, tell us, I mean, if you don't mind, I know this is not part of your thing, but like, I would love for you to describe to us what changed in you, because I did the same. And I love to hear people talk about this because it's psychological what happens when you're actually dependent on someone for the first time, for your visa,
Right.
for everything.
Yes. Yeah. That was new. I always consider myself very social. It's fairly easy for me to make friends, not to brag. Um, I I listen. I get along well with people. So it was like I was leaving a large network of friends and family to go be alone in a hotel room. Yeah. So that was
But it does
difficult.
things to
It
you
was
that you can't anticipate. Like it does things to
right.
your in psychologically, I feel like it does
Oh yeah,
things to you.
100%. Yeah, I was like, I was looking through my CBT journal just like yesterday, and I was like, well, what's going on? There was this passage from it right when I moved where it was just like, I'm a passenger in my life. Basically, it was just the feeling of like, I have no control of what's going on. And it
Yep.
was like, while it was a decision that I was a part of, I felt like a supporting character in my own story, which was weird. It was like I was watching my life instead of living it.
Yeah. And I think that's there's a couple of layers to it, but like especially when you've immigrated as a couple, they
Yeah.
there's this term that now people don't even use, but it used to be commonplace to say trailing spouse. Like it's now
Mm.
like people do not use it, but in the eyes of a government and the eyes of who you are in the world, you are tied to that person. That's the only way you have access to your healthcare, to your like all of this.
Yep.
It's a really, really, it's a crucible moment in a relationship when this sort of dependence happens, in my opinion.
Yes. Yeah. It was. Yeah. Yeah. It
And
was
then
definitely a shift in dynamic for sure. Because yeah, I was here on a partner visa, so all of my stuff was all tied to her.
yeah. Yeah, and that's tough. I remember like the first few years we lived here, not one document said my name on it. My bank card said his name on it. Everything was I didn't exist. And
Right.
that's a weird, again, like you exist, you love your partner, but like it's a weird individual journey. And so
Yes.
thanks for going into it. I know that's not your thing, but I think it's good for people to hear other people talk about this, especially men, because for men, I think it's even more different.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of my friends come here as they had a career in the States. They come with their partner, who's usually a woman's job. They become a stay-at-home parent. That's
Mm.
another layer. And it just changes. It changes a lot. So, but what it
Yeah.
also changes is it's really hard to it's another layer of ending a relationship if your
Yeah.
visa is tied to it. And so just briefly, let's talk about that.
Sure.
Your
Yeah.
side of it.
My side of it. Yeah. All right. You heard it here first.
No,
Yeah.
but it's a story a lot of people have. This is a big deal.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I didn't have a lot of friends, but I will say this was for me. I don't this probably isn't for everybody listening, but I took an improv class,
As one
and
does.
as one does, it was like English improv at Boom Chicago on Rosengrot there,
Love
and I
it.
was like, I just was riding my bike by and I like saw a sign and I was like, you know what? Yeah, I knew a lot of improvisers in LA. I never had any interest in it, but I was like, I don't know, it'd be nice to like just be in a room full of English speakers. And I went from having 0 friends to like 10 friends, which was really nice. It's like I still, years later, I'm still hanging out with that group of people. We still do shows around Amsterdam. It's called the Welcome Distraction. But so that was like, I went from having 0 friends to some friends, which was like nice. And so I kind of like got out of my shell a bit, which was, yeah, so needed and refreshing. And then, so yeah, we started doing shows around town together. We did our first show, and my partner couldn't make it. And I was like, oh, yeah, that feels a little weird. I don't understand.
I
I
changed
sound like a
countries for you.
psychopath. Thank you.
Yeah,
I'm so glad you said it.
Yeah, like, I changed countries for you.
You
No, this
can't.
is real. Yeah. No, this is
Okay.
real.
Yeah. And it turns out that she was cheating on me with a coworker, a married man with a family and kids. And so when that all came to light, it was just like, all right, this sucks. Yeah. So
To put it mildly.
yeah, I was like, damn, okay. And then so yeah, obviously top of mind, it was just like, okay, everything here is tied to you. So it's like obviously the pain and stuff, and it was like we tried to work it out, and I don't want to like get too into the nitty gritty details, but like we went to couples therapy, and it was like there's there was this like side of her that I had never seen before. And we're 5 years into this relationship, we're engaged, and it was just like this complete lack of accountability, this like this refusal to like stop the yeah, yeah. So it was hard, and so I made the very difficult decision to leave. Like, okay, and I left with the intention to like just to like take a breath, because it was like every time we were in the same place together, it was just like, oh my gosh, I'm so mad at you, at like not just at the cheating, but like also at the all of it. It was like it holistically, or it in its whole. It was just like, wait, what am I doing here? Which is a thought that I have every day when I wake up. uh,
I wonder the percentage of people listening to this right now who actually have that same experience without the relationship drama that you're experiencing.
right. So yeah, I reached out to my improv community, and I was like, hey, does anyone have a room that I could rent? And then like through a friend of a friend, they were like, oh, my friend's going out of town for a month. Maybe you could stay at their place. And then so I reached out to them, and they were like, yeah, that sounds great. And then like 2 days before I was supposed to do that, they're like, oh my gosh, listen, someone else is so one of our family members actually needs it. They're having like a family emergency, so you can't stay here. But here's this friend is going out of town. You can stay at their place. And I was like, oh, okay. So it's like a stranger of a stranger, or sorry, friend of a friend rather. And then I was like, oh, okay, yeah, sure. So I reached out to them. I stayed at their place for like 3 months, and then that ended up. And then I was like, hey, I like the person that I was staying at. I was like, I needed a place after this month, and they're like, oh, I know somebody. And then so it was just like this very lucky game after that point, of just like every month the person whose place I was staying at, I would just like, as the month was coming to an end, I'd be like, I need a place to stay next month, and they'd be like, oh, I may know somebody, and they would give me some information. And it was just like I would take an Uber XL with my 2 suitcases and go to the next place, and I did that for 6 months.
What did that teach you, both good and bad?
Yeah, it taught me to travel light. It taught me to ask for help. Yeah, I think that is a hard lesson to learn.
Yeah.
You know, it's like if you need help, ask for it. You don't even necessarily like have to know what you need for help. Just kind of like talk to friends about your situation, and sometimes it's like it's nice to get it off your chest, but it's also nice to just sometimes people give solutions to the problems that you're having.
Yeah. But going from knowing no one to suddenly having a couch to sleep on every month, that is that's not something that would have happened. That's not a skill you would have had to employ, the feelings, all of that experience. If you were in the US and you guys broke up, it would have been done, dusted.
Oh yeah. My dad would have showed up with his truck. I would have loaded my stuff up, and I would have gone to live at my parents' or at a friend's house, and then that would have been it.
So suddenly you're thrust into this new net of people who caught you. I mean, it sounds like you were able to be caught.
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, the entire time I was, updating my parents about it, and they're like, what are you doing? Just come home.
Because you were here for your ex-fiance, right? Like that's the
right.
mindset.
Yes. And I mean, at that time, like I said, I had a small group of friends building something here. I outside of that whole situation, I like it here a lot. I like the culture as much as I make fun of it. I like the food quality as much as I make fun of it. I like the bicycle infrastructure. I enjoy the directness, which is the culture. But yeah, I like my life here.
Yeah.
But it's hard to explain that, especially when you're in a crisis and you have a group of people on the other side of the planet who like love you and want you to be okay.
Yeah.
They're like, why don't you just come home? And
Did
the
you
thing,
just describe chronic homelessness? Like, just come home. Like, your life can't be that great. You're like, but there's cafes. You can sit by
but
the
yeah, I
side of the
can
cafe.
walk to the place that I need to go. I have a
Yeah.
grocery store down the street.
Yeah. These are it's hard to explain to Americans, but it's also hard to explain when you're in a crisis, like you said. Like, your life doesn't sound that great. Walking is not actually a positive thing.
Right. But it is though. Yeah, so it was like the thing that I told my support group on the other side of the planet was that I think kind of got through to them was just, I don't want this to be the end of my story.
Hmm.
I need a happy ending in some capacity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah.
You didn't want it to be the end of your Amsterdam story.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't want my Amsterdam story to be, I packed up everything I owned, moved across the planet to support my partner who then cheated on me, and I left with my tail tucked between my legs because this is my country. I'm Dutch. I'm not going to leave.
Yeah. Yeah. But also, it would have made the story completely you not a main character in your story at all if you left.
Right.
Yeah. So having some sort of reclamation of your existence, I can imagine, feels somehow therapeutic in a way.
100%.
I am also an armchair psychologist suddenly. I don't know.
No, thank you.
No.
That's what we were looking for.
No, but I see it over and over again. And, I've been here 9 years. There's been several of my friends who have gone through divorces, and it adds an infinite amount of layers to a breakup or a separation to be in a different country. You're dealing
Yeah.
with identity, all sorts of stuff. And then if you add a visa in there, it's just complex. So thank you for exploring it with us. But
Yes.
this culture that you love, you are now creating all these videos. How did this start? When did the mic turn on for Tall Redbeard?
Yes. So the Tall Redbeard brand, if you can call it that, started during the pandemic. Basically, it was just kind of a way to like connect with people. I'd play video games on Twitch, and so that's where like I registered the username. I saw like mild success with that. I think at one point I had like 800 followers, which like isn't a lot in internet terms, but when I think about 800 people watching me play a video game, I actually like I get nervous. It's like, that's way too many people. Like at most 3 people should be here on my couch playing the game with me.
Yeah.
So that's like kind of where it started. So it was always something that I would just kind of, it was always fun because, as I was working in entertainment and advertising, I never really, the only times I ever was in front of the camera were like out of necessity. It was like during the pandemic, I was working at an advertising agency and we like still had to make ads. So they're like, hey, editors, can you film yourself in the shower for this Dr. Squatch ad? And I was like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever. So it was like, yeah, the only time I was ever really like on camera as a personality was like just out of necessity. But so I was collecting all these like best practices and things, and my now girlfriend, Sine, we've been dating for a year now, this month. She was telling me this story that she heard about how Dutch last names were kind of a joke. It was like during the Napoleonic occupation of the Netherlands, he wanted to start registering last names so they could like track property and taxes. And up until then, Dutch last names were like based on your occupation or like your father. So it would be like if your father was Jan, your last name would be Jansson. It was just like your of or like, yeah. So it was, so she told me this like kind of funny story where it was like a lot of Dutch people, when they were forced to register their last names, they would just like kind of do it as a joke because they didn't really think that that was going to last. They didn't think it was going to be permanent. So like that's why you have so many weird last names like Groot, which is I think means big. Like if you were short, you'd like write that as your last name, or like there's a last name that like translates to naked born. And it's like so that's like if you look and what I have come to find out from my comment section is this is debated heavily the truth of all this. But so anyways, my girlfriend was telling me this story and I was like, that's such a fun story, because even my last name Vanderwielen means like of the wheel, which could have been like an occupation of some sort. I don't know, maybe like my ancestors were wagon makers or something. So I was like, oh, you know what? I'm going to tell this story. So I sat down and I just recorded me telling the story that she had told me in a way that I had kind of like I said, I've been working in social media advertising. So it was like I had all these best practices. I kind of know the cadence in which a UGC creator is supposed to talk, how often you're supposed to edit. And so I was like, oh, you know, I'll just try it out, you know, just as like kind of a fun experiment. And it really blew up. Like it hit 1 million views within like 3 days. And I was like, oh, okay, people like this. So then I just kind of sat down and started doing research on other fun facts. The first like couple of videos were just like kind of things that my grandparents had told me. And then obviously the first one was my girlfriend. But yeah, and then I just kind of kept going. But yeah, like I said, the comments started rolling in. And oh, let me tell you, Dutch people love to correct. That is the majority of my comments, is people being like, actually, it was Napoleon's brother that was occupying the Netherlands.
So everything you just said is wrong.
Yeah. And you're an idiot, and you should leave the country.
Yeah, that's
like,
always
everyone just
that's
slow
always. Yeah. I always say how they can't hear, like speaking English is so I always say, because my kids speak Dutch and they make fun of me constantly, and I always say you can understand the rest of the sentence even if I said that word wrong.
Right.
Like don't pretend like you can't hear the rest of what I said just because you got stuck on that one word that I said incorrectly.
Oh, that's so real.
Yeah.
It's like you'll try to speak Dutch to them, and like I'm terrible at Dutch. I'm not gonna like.
I am also terrible, but trying. I'm always trying.
No. You'll say like you'll try to speak Dutch, and it's like, huh, what, I can't understand, and then like, you know, we'll just speak English, and then proceed to speak to you in the most broken English you've ever heard. You're like, see, I can still decipher this. What is?
But
this?
I can hang.
Understand.
I can hang with you.
Yeah, this is not a two-way street. I don't understand. Let me speak my broken Dutch to you.
Yeah, exactly. No, but I think it's getting better. But it is a different tolerance for accents and the correct way of speaking a language.
Right.
That I've noticed that made it really difficult to start to learn. But once I was kind of onto this, I was like, you can listen. You can handle me saying the one letter incorrectly. But it does come from a place of wanting to improve. And so I always wonder if they want me to correct their English somehow, but I don't.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I don't either. And I think a lot of that has to do with like my take on that is just like we come from America, which is just massive. So it's like every single state has its own way of pronouncing things. And I'm not going to like when a Texan says a word a certain way, I'm not going to be like, actually it's pronounced this way, because like I probably sound weird to them, and it's like there's no point. But like the Netherlands is literally the size of like Los Angeles County, so it's like everyone needs to speak the same way.
Yeah, but I always say that I'm like, you could be American, like you're speaking English to me in a Dutch accent. You could be American. Like I have no idea to tell how someone's an American. Like there's no American English. There's the LA version, like the movie version, which is like an internationalized accent, I guess. But so it's very confusing to learn a language and have it. So it's very pronounced. So now I don't let it hold me back as much. But your comment section is on full display of the accuracy that is required to get in.
Yes. Yeah. 100%. And it's one of those things where I don't mind it. Like, basically, like my formative years were spent reading comment sections about shows and stuff that I was working on. So it was like,
Yeah.
I have learned to not take anything personal. It's like, yeah, they can be kind of funny too. It's always funny when like they find your insecurity and you're like, oh gosh, you nailed it. But like most of the time, it's just like, you're grasping at straws here. And I think it's a little bit of delusion too, where it's like they're jealous.
I mean, that's one way to deal with it.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, so I found this was like very early on in when I started doing like e-commerce advertising, was like and this was found by accident, where I'd like accidentally misspell a subtitle, and then like that version of the video we'd be A/B testing would get like way more interaction.
Engagement.
Engagement, thank you. We get like way more engagement, and then you go to the comment section and it's all people just correcting that subtitle. And it's like, oh, the algorithm has no idea the purpose or like the intent of the comment. They just see that this one is getting more comments. So it was like, from that point, our advertising agency would be like, mess up a little bit. And it was like, so there was this kind of weird, like, oh, if you can see the seams holding the ad together, that actually is a little better. It makes it seem a bit more bespoke and homemade. And so I'm not going to say that every mistake I make on my TikTok and YouTube and Instagram channel is on purpose, but there are definitely some that I'm like, I'm casting a net sometimes. Like, oh god, I did a video about how the Dutch love mayonnaise, and I love mayonnaise, and I was like, oh yeah, the Dutch, they put mayonnaise on everything. They put it on fries, they put it on herring, and they put it on a bunch of other stuff. And like my entire comment section was like, we would never put mayonnaise on herring, you psychopath. I'm gonna call you should be deported for this. Why is that the first thing you go to?
Always deported. Yes, that is real. Like that, it surprises me, and people will say this, and it's true. Like, you're an American, you would never be deported. You have you have a strong passport, da, 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 da. And I'm like, it's very real. But you realize for the first time in your life you can be deported from somewhere.
Right.
And so in your YouTube comment section, it's probably not visceral, but it is an interesting first lob at someone.
Yes. Yeah.
Especially about herring, which every country has its cult, but herring is, you hit a nerve.
Oh yeah. And I love herring. I've actually I was unemployed for a little bit, and I made it a point to go to every herring stand in Amsterdam, and I know where the good ones are. But yeah, it was kind of an obsession for a while.
I like how all of your most interesting stories start with, I was unemployed for a while.
I've been unemployed for a while. It's funny too, because like I work freelance, but it's like I don't count that as a job, so I'm like, I'm still unemployed.
Yeah. I've only ever had freelance jobs, so I get it. But it is, that takes you on some adventures sometimes. So are you going to share with us the best herring stand in Amsterdam?
You know what? I will. This is not sponsored, but let me find it on my maps here. Okay, it's Herring and Zoe. It's like right by the it's like just west of Dam Square. Like right in front of that giant Albert Heijn. Mm-hmm. It is the best one.
Okay. You heard it here.
Yeah. And the guy who works there, he's nice about my Dutch, which I like.
That goes a long way. Actually.
It does.
My first few years here, I planned my entire day around who wouldn't change to English. But yeah, I get it. So that makes it also expat friendly. So in your YouTube channel, it sounds like it almost started like an accident. Like, not as an accident, but like this intersection of your heritage, your fascination with the culture, and then your advertising background and filmmaking background. All you needed to do was make yourself in front of the camera and not playing video games.
Yeah. Well, yeah, what's nice about the video games is like I am a little square in the corner, and the video game is like the main thing. I'm just kind of commenting on it. But it was all just kind of this like big happy accident. I mean, like, with so much content that I've made over the past years, it's just like throwing stuff at the wall. There's been so many series and so many things that like I've, it's like had an interest in, I'll make a thing, and then like it gets no reaction. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I made it. I'm proud of it.
Yeah.
And yeah, so this was kind of the one of the first things that really kind of popped off. And it's like, okay, cool. I'm gonna milk this until people aren't interested in it, because it's something that I enjoy. I like learning about Dutch culture. It's something I'm doing anyways.
Yeah.
And so it's just like kind of learn with me. And yeah, in fact, I am planning on releasing a book, hopefully by the end of the year, of 365 Dutch facts.
Nice. You should do one that's like anti-imburgering. Like, these are the facts you don't
Yeah.
want to learn, or learn them wrong for imburgering. Because it's a little bit what you're doing. Like, it helps people connect with the culture a little bit. And so tell
Yeah.
us your favorite video, like what it, and we can maybe show it, but it's like, what is the thing that, just tell us your favorite video you've made, maybe.
Gosh, I love them all equally if they're listening, but let's see. I make them in batches, so it's like I'll make like 10 of them in one day, so they all kind of blend together.
Oh yeah.
So I do want to talk about a couple of them. I talked about a Dutch Pokemon card being sold for 35,000 euros.
My son loved that one. Yeah. Tell us
yeah.
about it. Tell us about it.
Yeah. Well, I love that one a lot because it is absurd. Like I mean, I love Pokemon cards. I like playing the game. But like Dutch Pokemon cards only existed for like a short period of time. Basically, the Pokemon company like released them and then realized like, oh, there's no market for this, so like they stopped making them. So there's like a very limited set. So it's like most of the world does not care about Dutch Pokemon cards, but like there is a small group of Dutch people who love Pokemon and love Pokemon cards who are like looking for pristine, perfect edition cards. So it was like just, a piece of cardboard sold for 35,000 euros. I'm like, Jesus, that's a house or a down payment at least. So yeah, I like that story. And also it's like, it kind of mixed everything. Like it mixed everything that I enjoy a bit. So it's like Dutch culture, and it's also a little bit of video gaming or gaming, and yeah, it was kind of a thing in the right direction.
So it's like a news story that happened mixed with a cultural phenomenon, which is like they only made so many because it's such a small country. And is it the Dutch people don't want to buy their own Pokemon cards? They would rather buy them from another country?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure the purpose of it. I think it's just like, yeah, I don't know. They like stopped producing them in like 1999, so it's like it could have. I'm not exactly sure what was going on culturally in the Netherlands at that time, but it's because I mean they still make Spanish cards, they still make German cards, they still like make them in French cards, but yeah, they just stopped making Dutch cards. I assume it was a lack of interest, but like now that they're hard to get, there's
it's like anything.
a big interest.
So it brought a lot of things together. All right, what's your next one?
So one that I was like kind of horrified by was I was talking about how the Dutch East India Company massacred an island for nutmeg. And it was just kind of the story of like the colonization. And that was really eye opening because as an American, it's like I know there's a lot of debate about like what the horrors in our past, but like it's it's important to recognize it. It's important to at the very least like acknowledge it and its historical and like relevance today. I was kind of pleased and horrified by the comment section of that because it's like you do have a like a small percentage of commenters, and I know they don't represent the majority of Dutch people. I will say like I want to recognize that like commenters are not a good or accurate representation of the majority of people because like to leave a comment on a video you're already in like a very fringe group of people. So like that's important to remember when you're making content. But yeah, it was like the amount of people that were proud of the colonization like past of the Netherlands. I was like, oh, that's really weird. Like there's a the Dutch word for colonized, which I can't pronounce it, but they would like write that word with like a strong arm emoji
Mm,
I'm like, oh, that's actually kind
that's
of
bold.
scary. Yeah. Um, like that they're like proud of it. I'm like, oh, okay. I don't love that. Um,
Yeah,
I
but
don't
it's
know why that's my favorite video, but it was like definitely a shift in like, oh, some of you guys are weird.
yeah. Well, but it's also without the awareness, right? So I think the thing that I learned when I started learning about Dutch, like being here, learning about more close up, it put context to some of the things that were happening in the U.S. and also just the yeah, it helped me understand my own culture to learn about this in Dutch culture as well.
Yeah,
Not to be proud of it, but if you were to just again, like when I was growing up in school in the US, we didn't talk about the bad parts. You only talked about the good parts, which I think in some ways happened here, where it was like,
yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
we America first. Like we're so proud of our country. The founding fathers. If you only hear the good stories, then it's like, yeah, of course you're proud.
Right. Right. Yeah. And it's like going back to what we were talking about before, my family would be like, hey, if you're not Dutch, you're not much. And I'm sure it's like there is a bit of learned exceptionalism
Yeah,
happening
yeah,
in most Western cultures that like is a bit hard to unlearn because it's like nobody nobody's sitting here saying that like we should suffer or be punished for the sins of our grandparents, but
yeah,
it's like also at the same time it's like, well, I mean, we should at least acknowledge it so we don't repeat
yeah. Let's at least
horrific
not do it.
atrocities.
Yeah, yeah. It's actually so true. So you gave good tips for how to survive having a YouTube audience. Is there any other advice you would give people who are wanting to be creators on YouTube?
uh, yeah, I think if you're thinking about doing it, just do it. Don't worry about the logistics of it. That's, I think, just like a major hurdle for a lot of creators is like, oh, I have an idea and I know how it's going to be perfect. And it's like, well, it might not be, and just do it.
Yeah.
Um, I've never been precious about my ideas. I think like I, yeah, I don't.
That's hard one training though. That's film school. That's
Yeah,
being in the industry a while. That's a really good tip. Not being precious about your ideas. That's the difference
yeah,
between being I don't know, like it's a really important skill. And
yeah.
I went to art school as well and didn't learn that until I left art school.
Oh, okay.
And so
Yeah.
that's a really powerful lesson. And that actually came from working in software. Like just iterate,
Oh,
iterate, iterate,
right.
iterate.
Yes. Iterate.
Just
Yeah.
keep iterating until you find your voice. And that
Yeah.
I think is important that most creators are doing that. And if you watch anyone, even your early videos, you'll see that it's created over time. Like you
Right.
found your voice over time, what works for you over time, what's accurate, what's even a persona over time. That's a really important process as a creator. And some people think content creators aren't artists. I tend to disagree. They're just the new, when the camera was invented, painters thought they weren't artists, right? Like photographers
Right.
weren't
Yeah.
artists. Now they're artists. Now they're fine artists even. So content creators, I mean, they run the gamut, but I think the process and the craft is still being crafted.
Yeah, 100%. There's two quotes that like come to mind often when it comes to the creative process, and one is from Jake the dog of Adventure Time, and he says, "Being bad at something is just the first step of being good at something." I'm like, okay, that's very helpful. And then another quote is Dan Harmon, creator of Rick and Morty, problematic figure, but some good quotes. He says, if you think you're a bad writer, just prove it to yourself.
Hmm. That's really good advice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we've had this moment, and both you and I have been in the film industry. We have to hold two things. You said he's a problematic figure. I think this is true of countries as well as a person,
Yes.
is being able to hold two things as true. Someone's work is really great, but they're a problematic figure. A country, you love your country, also done horrible things.
Right.
You love your country that you live in now. They also threaten to deport you all the time. Those things can all be true.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, yeah. Yeah. Dutch people are so mean to me, but also Dutch people in my life personally are very nice to me. So it's like, yeah.
Why do I crave their acceptance? They're so mean, but why do I crave their acceptance so deeply?
That's funny. Yeah. It's like they're like Dutch people are like doing like that toxic dating technique, where it's like, oh, they're mean to me. I want them to love me.
It's a strategy. If it's a strategy, it's working. No, but it is complex. It is complex to be in a culture that seems rude according to your culture. And you grew
Right.
up with that paradigm from when you were little, but it was something I had to learn living here.
Yeah, definitely.
Very fun. Well, I hope people go to your YouTube channel. What would you say? I feel like when I watch it, I feel like it's part like self-confessional and part you're just wanting to share what you're learning. It just feels like we're going through it with you. Is that what you would say the intention is?
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, it's always been for fun. I'm just kind of throwing stuff at the wall with it. And yeah, the current like Dutch history, Dutch culture is just like, if I learn a fun fact, my audience is going to learn a fun fact. And then I will learn that I'm wrong. I may make a correction video one day, once I get like enough. But yeah, it's just things that I find interesting about Dutch culture, said in my voice.
Yeah. Well, and I've learned that every single history is what is right. So there's the line that everyone learned in school, or I call it the dogma. And then there's the actual historical facts, which still probably aren't exactly how it happened.
Right.
And so you're walking that line, and then there's the interpretation as someone who didn't grow up here with that dogma, or you did a little bit with your grandparents.
Yeah.
So it makes it very rich what you're doing, which I think is maybe unintentional, but I appreciate it.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate you saying that. Yeah, it's a fun time. And like I take suggestions. I read all the comments. I don't let them affect me. But people will be like, "You should make a video about this." And I'm like, "What is that?" And I'll research it. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, that's so weird."
Yeah, cool. So you're having a conversation with your audience a little bit as well.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, cool. And then you're also doing, you mentioned welcome distractions. So you're also doing improv. Is that right?
Yes. So we were doing once a month. Now we're doing once every other month, and it's just like an improv show around town. That's also, you can find that through my social media as well. I put like a link in my bio, all that stuff. And that's just been like a really fun outlet. I've been doing improv now for, good God, 3 years.
Wow.
So
Ever since that
it was
fateful day at Boom Chicago.
Right. Yes. It was fun. It was just, like I said, it was just a way to try and make friends. And now it's great too, because people come to the show. I think it's like a great environment to meet people, because like people from my TikTok will come to the show and be like, "Hey, I follow you on TikTok." Um, the show is so fun. I think it's like a good environment, because it's like, they'll see me perform and be silly. And then it's like, well, I'll go grab a beer afterwards, and it's like, that's actually very nice.
Yeah, it's a really fun and very visceral way of interacting with your audience. Very cool. So people can find you on TikTok at Tall Red Beard.
Mhm.
Is that the best way, or is there other ways that you'd like them to contact you?
Yeah, I think just Tall Red Beard on any and every platform. I got it across the board.
Yeah, good. And then is there any last things you want to tell us that we didn't cover?
I talked about the book that I want to release, right?
Yeah, you did.
I've got all the facts written. I just need to format it in a way. So yeah, you said this might come out in the fall?
Yep.
Okay, so yeah. Okay, I'm gonna try to get it out by then.
All right, let's do it.
Okay. Yeah, so a book of Dutch facts coming out soon. And I mean, oh geez, I didn't even talk about the comic books that I write. Sadie's Sword is a comic book that I wrote with some friends. That's also available on Amazon.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, just give a follow. If watch the videos if you like them.
Make angry comments if you don't.
It
helps the algorithm.
It helps. Yeah.
Good. Well, thanks for sharing with us today. Thanks for going so deep on some of that stuff, and for the videos you make. I think they're a really fun addition to the repertoire of people who are living this life and making fun of it. And yeah, it's beautiful. So thanks for sharing your talents.
Thank you so much. This was a lot of fun.
Right.
I appreciate it so much. Yeah.
Awesome. And thank you everyone for joining us today on the House of Peregrine podcast. Please give us a like and listen on any platform you listen to, and we'll talk to you next time.
Okay, that's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed our show. For the latest insights on living internationally, join us at houseofperegrine.com to find out how you can connect with our community. Let's craft our life story with intention together.